fans are around, it's okay.
Yeah, I think I'm just dropping in and out randomly.
Okay, because it happened to me during the Nations Fest also. That time I was the one having the problem. Yeah, what I did.
Do I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Adrenaline Impact's coverage of the ASRF Iracing Community Events GT3 series, coming to you live here from Laguna Seca. So, of course, this is the second round of a 6-round season that we're running. Of course, the first round last week was at another track, and we've now come to the second round. We had a great turnout last week, and this week we are having 25 drivers, which is a great healthy showing as well. So, of course, alongside myself is Max Palmer, who I think he might be facing some connection issues. So I think at this point, I'll just be around, and of course with Hyrule in the background with cameras, providing you guys live pictures. So the race format is a little bit different from usual in that it will be a 30-minute race instead of usual 40-minute GT3 race. And what that means is that drivers will have to be a little bit careful. They will have to change their race strategies ever so slightly to fit this style of racing. They can either save fuel or they can spend their fuel and pit in once for fuel. So we are now with Iman Danish, who is down setting his qualifying lap time. He is currently second in the provisional standings, right behind Mika Hakimi. And of course, we do see that Iman Danish does represent Blue Steel Racing. So quite a good variety of drivers, and it does also seem that all the drivers within the top 25 are within 2 seconds of each one another, which is a great thing to see. Yeah, actually I think there are a total of 30 drivers who have registered. So yeah, with of course right now we are coming towards the tail end of the qualifying session, so this point on all the drivers do have to nail down their qualifying lap times before proceeding to the race. And this is Ray Oliver. He's in 4th position. He's currently qualified 4th. He is with a 1 minute 20.9, which is 9 tenths of a second, or rather 8 tenths of a second away behind Mika Hakimi. As we do continue to carry you guys through the proceedings of this qualifying session, this is J1 who's coming across the start-finish line. He's qualified 5th position with a 1:21, and I don't think he's managed to best his previous lap time, so he continues to retain his 5th position. Of course, he sits behind Ray Oliver, who is in 4th. So checker flag for the qualifying session is down. The qualifying session is about to end, or it has ended, and the drivers are now just dealing with their final few laps. So as usual with your typical Adrenaline Impact or ASRF or Sim Racers Asia events, we do have a great showing from drivers from all across Asia as well as Australia, and also one driver from France. And we do see Kevin Huang coming across the start-finish line in his trademark McLaren with his bubblegum ice cream paint scheme. He sets a lap time of 1:21.529, which moves him up 1 position, and he will start qualifying from 15th. as the drivers are all beginning to settle in out of the qualifying session. I think in a few moments time we will have a confirmed qualifying results, which will then be our grid for the race start here at Laguna Seca. So of course the last time ASRF had an event over at Adrenaline Impact was also GT3 cars at Laguna Seca. Obviously I think Hyrule will definitely remember the Nations Festival that we had approximately 2 months ago. And I think if anything's to go with regards to the standards of racing that we've seen and the quality of competitions that we've seen, we would probably also expect the same excitement and clean racing from the drivers here. So qualifying sessions has just ended, and we'll have a look at the qualifying results, and which will also be the grid standings for the drivers. So the drivers prepare to take their grid positions. Starting first will be Mika Hakimi from Blue Steel Racing. And alongside him will be Iman Danish from second. Vinder Singh begins from third, and Muhammad Taki from fourth. Ray Oliver from fifth. Jay Wong will begin from sixth. Liu Leong from seventh. Invesky Chin will begin from eighth. Chris Tiansen from ninth. Simon Sanchez will begin from 10th. Adi Marwan from 11th. Mitchell Wee from 12th. Guri Yong from 13th. Fred Ting from 14th. Kevin Huang will begin from 15th. And Wan Li Kui will begin from 16th. Hai Min Do from 17th. And Aldo Balagulan, our friend from the Philippines, will begin from 18th position. A little bit further behind, Anjehan will start from 19th position, and Arif Hidayat will begin from 20th. Rex Wong will be, Afiq Fadlan will begin from 21st. Federico Teixeira 22nd. Rex Wong from 23rd. Hugo Tomasino from 24th position. Alberto Surya from 25th. Mohamed Masdi from 26th. Kake from 27th, Om Indra from 28th, and these are the drivers who have their qualifying lap times.
It's remarkable to know that the entire grid is just covered by 3.5 seconds, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just really surprised, because in fact the top 25 earlier on were covered by just 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds, if you do have a look at the qualifying lap time. So this will be a very, very tight grid.
Absolutely, it's amazing to see the GT3 racing in iRacing, the GT3 category, is definitely gone from strength to strength. I think it's one of the strongest fields out there here in Asia, and it's exciting to see some of the really quick guys out there right now.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a rolling start with, what pace car is that? It doesn't seem to be the Porsche pace car. It seems to be an iRacing specific GTA saloon car looking pace car in front.
I'm not sure. From a distance, it kind of looks like a BMW, but when you get a bit closer, it looks sort of Audi-ish, but like not a later model one. I know the director is desperately trying to figure that one out. I'm pretty sure it came from GTA 4 or GTA 5. But up front, we have the two Blue Steel Racing cars, and they've been going absolutely brilliantly over the last few competitions that we've seen them in. Absolutely brilliant in the previous two Malaysian championships that we've run on Adrenaline Impact, but also fantastic Asia-wide results there, as well as worldwide results. So I think this is a Malaysian team that's doing some big things in the sim racing sphere.
Oh, absolutely. Blue Steel Racing has in fact produced many great results and talents as well. Of course, we know our great friend Mika Hakimi. He's not only racing in Blue Steel Racing, he's also with some of the best sim racing teams in the world, which is really a great achievement by Mika.
And it's great to see that Iman Danish, the young gun from Malaysia as well, joining that team. Definitely going to be a driver to watch, especially now he's got the backing from the Dozov Blue Steel Racing guys. I think he's going to go very, very far in that as well. But we've also got quite a few quicker guys up at the front there. We've got Taki, Vinder Singh, Ray Oliver joins us from Australia. Jay Wong there, also very, very quick driver up at the front there. I think it's going to be quite a fast, quite a feisty race, especially from the first few laps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So drivers are going to come around with the safety cars just about to make the way into the pits. So of course it will be Mika Hakimi who will cover the field, and This is going to be green flag any moment now as the safety car has made its way into the pits. It will be Mika Hakimi who goes and takes the green flag, and he leads Iman Danish down right across the start-finish line. Very great stuff there, great race start. Both drivers are kind of starting to slightly pull away from the rest of the grid, so the other drivers are also all starting to filter in and make their way through the Andretti hairpin, and they do so well indeed. Everyone almost going towards a single file, and those drivers who are not, they are in fact fighting for position. So a great start by everyone, and everyone's made their way through cleanly.
Absolutely, a great start there from. Oh, just about said that. That's a huge accident there, and looks like Aguri Young getting caught up in that accident. That was a huge accident coming out of turn 2. That is not turn 4 actually, into the new loop, as they say there, just touching the Biff Racing car there, and that is what pushed the Ben & Jerry's Porsche over onto its roof there, and that caused a huge chain reaction right there. We expect that to happen down at the Andretti hairpin, but I don't think anybody saw what happened next at that right-hander there.
I think that was an unavoidable incident. I think the drivers did not see that coming, because obviously the car, that contact came right under their noses, and of course everything that happened afterwards was a chain effect, and obviously a chain reaction of effects, and obviously that was very difficult to avoid. But the race still goes on nonetheless. We are riding with Wan Li Kui, who sits behind Aldo Balagulan, and we do get to observe more good racing action as they take the first lap and they come across they finish the first lap and they now come across the start finish line for the second lap.
Yeah, incidentally, at the start of the race, I was just going to say, Mika Hakimi and Iman Danish, they obviously had a bit of a strategy there, because they left very early on. They started their race down at the final corner and really pushed hard to make sure that they were well clear. I mean, part of that is thinking sort of along the lines of safety, trying to get a much gap between themselves and the chasing pack, but of course there's also a competitive aspect to that as well. If you can steal a few more meters on the restart and actually be just a little bit quicker than everyone else, that gives you a huge advantage. That means you can try and do that first lap as fast as possible without any distractions, without anybody trying to overtake you on the first lap there. So brilliant stuff there from Mika Hakimi and Iman Danish. Obviously quite a bit of teamwork happening at the front there. We're on board with Ray Oliver there in 5th position, chasing after Mamataki. Again, very talented drivers right at the front of the field here. This is the best of Asia racing around Laguna Seca. This is very quickly becoming our home track, isn't it, here on Adrenaline Impact? Something about GT3 cars or even open wheelers driving around this track is absolutely amazing. We never have a boring race around here, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing is also that every single person who comes onto Iracing will get to enjoy this track, because it is free for users, and Iracing's definitely done a great decision with this, because it's also one of the tracks that provides so much racing action.
Ooh, running a little bit wide there, Haimindo just tried to defend himself from Arif Hidayat there, 12th and 13th position. This just goes to show that the guys at the mid-pack, in the midfield, are pushing just as hard as the cars up at the front of the field there. Now, these are quite high downforce cars there, so you're probably not going to see the same sort of action that you'd see in touring car racing, but trust me, these guys are about as close as you can get. And as you can see further up ahead there, that was Wan Li Kui and Aldo Ray Balagulan in the two BMWs having a bit of a tussle as they go up towards the Rahal straight there. Oh, that's a big moment there from Haimindo, and Arif takes full advantage of that, managing to make that overtake maneuver stick there. That kink is so hard to get right. If you are going quickly through there, it's always high risk. Every lap, you've just got to flick the car in, get it over the apex and through. Further up ahead, this was the battle we were talking about. Wan Li Kui and Aldo Ray Balagulan trying to look for a way around, trying to duck and weave, try and go on the inside, try and go around the outside. This is absolutely fascinating stuff. You're not going to see so much contact with these two drivers. They're very, very experienced when it comes to their racecraft. It's all going to be about timing, essentially. Who's going to spring their attack first, who's going to defend, and who's going to be able to time their movements just right. It's absolutely a joy to watch these two fight against each other.
Absolutely. So there's been some feisty racing action, and as always with the races that Adrenaline Impact covers, you do see great racing action all throughout the field, and not just isolated at the front or at any other area during the race. I think that's just really something great to see, Max.
Absolutely. For 3 years in a row now, we haven't had a race without it. The patented, trademark, patent pending Adrenaline Impact midfield battle going really strong right now. It's just about become the ASRF midfield battle as well, because I've noticed that even in our Wednesday night races on AMS2, we do get that sort of midfield battle where all the drivers just love to congregate with each other and try and race as closely as possible. I guess this must be like the defining characteristics of Asian sim racing for me, is that you always see the guys at the back of the field trying just as hard as the cars in front. It doesn't matter if they're fighting for first or 21st position, they are pushing hard. And Indra here is a case in point. He's in a really tight pack there. He's got Fikri Azka right behind him and Albertus Surya ahead of him. But they're also trying to hold off Rex Wong, Leong Mun Fai, Fred Ting, and Mitchell Hui. All drivers who are very, very, very quick indeed. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Indra handles the pressure behind him. But he does have help in the form of his YLab teammate there.
Well, it's great to see the YLab name and logo back on our screen screen, because the last time I've seen them was Sim Racers Asia back in 2018 and 2019 and even 2017, because those were days where, you know, YLab had quite a big presence in the Sim Racers Asia events, and right now they're back with us once again.
Absolutely, it's brilliant to see teams getting back together. I mean, this is a team with history, which when you think about it, in the sim racing sphere, there's not an awful lot of teams that have that. Perhaps BSR, a few others, but it's like really interesting to see teams with actual history and actual track records. So it's something to cherish for sure. Oh, big sideways moment there. That's well held there from Indra. That would have very easily been a very big accident, but that's brilliant car control there from Indra.
Yes, Indra is good at controlling things, in fact. Yeah, I noticed all the YLab cars are BMWs.
Yeah, they must be part of the BMW Owners Club back in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But who can blame them? They're very nice cars. Especially if BMW wants to sponsor. In any case, another battle between BMW's Wan Li Kui and Aldo Ray Balagalan, both using the Works liveries for these cars there. They actually had an interesting little contest many moons ago as to designing one of the standard liveries that this car was available in. And I believe a Malaysian one won the design contest. So that's actually somewhere floating around in the iRacing sphere, so do have a look out for that. But right now we're going to have a look at Wan Li Kui coming in on the inside. That's a brave maneuver there, side by side coming in to the corkscrew. Will they make it work? Will they make it safely? Wan Li Kui, brave man for trying. You can't fault him for that. And brilliant racecraft from both cars there, but that was absolutely incredible piece of driving there. Who would have thought, trying to send it up the inside into the corkscrew there, and for both cars to come out without a scratch there. I think Wan Li Kui is going to try again very soon, but that was spectacular stuff there. Unsuccessful, but still very good.
There was some brilliant racing, and of course that just goes to show that of course it's not easy to pull that move off, but of course the drivers here are able to manage that. We're now back with the top 5 drivers. This is Ray Oliver. He is currently in 5th, and he is behind Muhammad Taki. So I think the drivers along the top 5 haven't really changed that much. They started from where they began from, 1st to 5th specifically, and I think we can continue to see how this takes place. Oh, that's I think Taki made a little bit of a mistake as he exited the left-hander, and that ceded 4th position to Ray Oliver, and that was an interesting move.
Yeah, it does look almost like he gave that position up to Ray coming out of the corner there. Perhaps he had a little bit of a slide on and he just wanted to make sure everyone was safe, so he ducked out of the way there, or perhaps there might have been a little bit of floor damage or something weird happened there. Taki is not a kind of driver that makes an awful lot of mistakes. He usually wins races and wins championships even, but just being super I wouldn't say conservative, but you never ever see him make the big silly mistake. The car's never too sideways, and he's just super consistent with his lap times there, and also very tactical kind of driver. So I'm not too sure what he is up to there. Either he had a little bit of a problem, or it could be that he's trying to ride on Ray's coattails there. Ray looks like he's going very quickly now that he's gone past that Mercedes.
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be a bit of a reverse of things happening, and I think the battle will still continue to ensue as Ataki will try to perhaps reclaim his position from Ray Oliver. So obviously the battling that's taking place up front is relatively clean at this point. I think the action as it stands is the more intense action as it stands is kind of slightly down towards the middle.
We're on board now with Hai Min Do. He had that little bit of a mistake there. Ooh, running very wide up ahead there is Kevin Huang in the, well, let's be charitable and call it the bubblegum McLaren. And Hai Min Do seeing the difference in speed there. If you make a little bit of a mistake going up the hill, there is a chance that you could make that overtaking maneuver. And what a brilliant overtaking maneuver it was indeed. Hai Min Do getting past Kevin Huang and putting a big gap between himself and Kevin Huang there. That was perhaps one of the cleanest overtaking maneuvers I've ever seen. And again, at the corkscrew, I think if either one of us tried to overtake each other on the corkscrew, we usually end up with a lot of swearing.
Yeah, we probably end up with our wheels in the air as well.
Yes. A lot of brave overtaking maneuvers. But so far, a lot of the overtaking action is actually at the corkscrew. I think these drivers have figured out a way of actually getting through there and overtaking cleanly at the top of the hill. And I think the secret there is knowing exactly what racing line you're on. And with the drivers being so close, they will all take a very similar racing line going over the top of the crest before you drop into the corkscrew there. And I think that's just given them just enough of a chance for them to try and sneak their cars up on the inside, but still very risky maneuver indeed. Simon Sanchez now in the old school BMW 635 CSI liveried car. I know that because my dad's favorite car is a 635 CSI. Early Group A cars from BMW with the famous BMW original parts livery there. Absolutely fantastic looking cars out here, and I must say the liveries have been on point this season.
Let me just do a quick Google search on the 635 CSI. Have I seen that before?
Looks like a shark.
Yeah. I look so good.
Yeah, Simon Sanchez there, of course, a man with impeccable taste. Anybody who's running a brand new BMW with an old school BMW livery gets the seal of approval from me. But Chris Jansen also doing very well for himself there. He's in the standard, more modern livery BMW up ahead there. Again, very closely matched, these two drivers. I see that they're almost using identical racing lines, and it looks like identical driving inputs as well. It looks like these two drivers are very much in the Jensen Button school of driving. Very smooth, only one steering input, and very calm. It's the slowest fast method for going quickly. Wan Li Kui, meanwhile, and Jay Wong, again, interesting comparison there. They're a little bit more aggressive. They like to turn the cars in, get the cars to rotate, and dance the car around a little bit more. Both can be very fast techniques, but of course it takes a lot of skill to get to that point.
Absolutely. So of course we can see a great variety in driving personalities, let's put it that way. And of course these all serve different drivers differently. And also I think it's also because with the BMWs you can't really push that car too much because it's quite heavy. It's also a front engine car, and I think one of the things with the BMW is it's known to be stable, and you should drive it in such a way that it continues to be stable. But of course with the Porsche you can kind of throw the car around and it will still point right side forward because the engine is behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with the Porsche, it's built a lot more like a touring car than most GT3 cars. They are designed to take on the endurance races primarily. Porsche has always been an endurance racing brand. Porsche Rennsport spent hours and hours developing their cars for endurance racing. In fact, every single bolt, nut and part on the Porsches that I was looking after were all life to the hours. So, say a gearbox would last 48 hours, 2 24-hour races. The engine might last half a season, but it's all down to an hour. There's just like in an aircraft, So it really is definitely thinking about endurance racing. And when you're thinking about endurance racing, you've got to think about the driver not when he's doing his first lap, but when he's doing his 25th lap or his 50th lap, 2 or 3 hours into a long double stint. The driving style is going to be a bit looser. He's going to be a little bit more ragged. He'll try to push the car harder than it should go. You're more likely to make mistakes there. And you can see with the Porsche, it's a lot more tolerant with that sort of stuff. I think the BMW built a little bit more towards the prototypey, if you will, side of GT3 racing. There's a lot more modifications going on with the BMW, and it's obvious that they're chasing the bleeding edge of performance and trying to win races with very quick lap times and just having the driver be super disciplined when they're driving. It's two different attitudes, two different styles of endurance racing. But yeah, it tracks with what they've always been. A BMW driver tends to be really super neat and tidy and very, very millimeter accurate. Whereas a Porsche driver tends to dance the car around. The most famous Porsche driver being, of course, Walter Rohr, who was actually a World Rally champion, as well as Nürburgring winner.
And that's great to hear. Great story time by Max. You always get great pockets of stories and information there from Max. And this is a four-way battle. We could see that one of the drivers did squeeze his way through what was a small gap.
That was a very small gap.
Of course, this pack is led by your friend Mitchell Hui.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up towards the top of the hill there. Congratulations, by the way, Mitchell, on your new car. Looks mint. He just got himself a Proton Satria Neo R3, I think. So really nice car there. And he's driving a really nice car right now. The nice black McLaren there, complete with the anti-lag. Those flames coming out are so iconic of this generation of McLaren GT3 car. It's brilliant to watch the theatre of it. If you ever get a chance and you visit a track like Sepang or somewhere with a big braking zone like Turn 2 here at Laguna Seca, if you can get a chance to go and sit there and watch the cars under brakes, the McLaren is always the most dramatic going into the corners there. And of course, Mitchell Hui with the fantastic Itasha livery, leading Kevin Huang in the similarly bubblegummy car. Again, brilliant paint schemes on these cars, brilliant liveries. But the battling that's going on here, it's so rare that you get to see someone battling around, 3 cars wide, coming up through this section of the track here. And there's a Lamborghini off the road there. I think that's Rex Wong. Very unfortunate for him. He doesn't usually go off the road too often there, but I guess there's always an exception to the rule. Coming up the hill here, you can see the cars, they're chopping, they're changing, they're looking around, but one thing you notice, especially with guys like Kevin Huang, with Mitchell Hui, Fred Ting as well, Leung Mun Fai, all of these guys, they are always looking for the gap. So yeah, as I was saying before I dropped out there, I do apologize, slight internet issues there. But yeah, like I was saying, they are always going for the gap. They're always looking for the space around the cars there, just to make sure that they're safe.
Absolutely, and of course that does kind of reflect on the way they handle the car as well and the way they deal with this racing. So we continue to ride with Kevin Huang. Because I remember that previously he would use the Eurasia Sim Sports team livery, but it's now gone back to what this is. In fact, I think a livery from the Iracing paint shop. And of course, Kevin has great taste always when it comes to car paints and stuff like that. And I think I'm just having a look at Fred Ting's Porsche. First time I see Fred driving a Porsche, usually I see him driving something else. He does have quite a... Oh no! There's Kevin, he's gone around unfortunately. He took a bit of a too wide of an exit and that sent him around.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate. Again, it's always with that kink. Whenever I'm hot lapping around Laguna Seca in AC or in EMS2 or any sim, going through that kink is always the big bravery moment. A lot of people think it's the corkscrew, but you actually have quite a lot of time to make sure, if you're patient enough, to go and position your car correctly for the corkscrew. It's still quite challenging corner, but if you know what you're doing, it can be taken quite safely. This kink just before that these two drivers, Ray Oliver and Vinder Singh, just gone through here. At the bottom of the hill there, as soon as you clip that inside, if you go a little bit too far in, you're on the sausage. You're on, you have a risk of going two wheels up. But if you're a little bit too far away, you won't get the right exit. You run off into the dust and the gravel on the outside of the corner and you spin out. So the fast line through there is the big challenge for me and for a lot of drivers. That's the big bravery corner, if you will, at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I find so too, because for that corner you have to get a lot of things right, because usually in a corner you can get an entry or the apex or the exit right and you can still be fine, but that is one of those corners that you have to get all three right in order to make it out well and alive, because the runoff there takes no prisoners.
Yep, you don't really want to go rallycrossing in these cars. They're not quite designed for that. Although I would love to see a rallycross race around this track. I think the cars could pull it off. But in any case, Vinder Singh, he's definitely pushing very hard right now to keep himself in the podium positions there. He's got Ray Oliver behind him. A very, very worthy adversary for Bhagvinder there, pushing the cars very hard through this section here. You can see they're starting to use the edge of the track there. You can see bits of dust coming out of Ray Oliver's car. They're using every single inch of the track to try and one-up each other. This is setting up for a battle. Both drivers are driving as fast as possible. As we can see, one of the cars out there. But these two drivers are now just pushing as hard as possible, and Ray is trying to catch up with Bhagvinder and get himself into a position where they can start to battle. And this is almost as important as the overtake itself. You want to be able to actually get up close with the car in front of you relatively quickly, and also at the same time study him as he goes around for a couple of laps there and try different things to see if you can gain some time to the car ahead. So for the thinking driver, this is really the golden opportunity, the golden hour where you can actually see the car ahead and analyze what it's doing before going in for the attack. So really interesting stuff you can see here. Ray Oliver now down to 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second behind him. Definitely in the danger zone. I think we're going to see some fireworks from this battle.
Fireworks in the form of the McLaren exhaust. Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, I think speaking of fireworks, I think it's one of those things in racing where you kind of ask yourself, is it fireworks or did someone's engine just explode?
Yeah, as a mechanic, you always get a little bit worried when someone lets off a party popper or something nearby. Like, was that a pneumatic line or something? But in any case, you can see there Ray Oliver definitely battling around. Further down the field there, this is Federico Texeira in 23rd position. Again, beautiful, the Seca livery there. Oh, Aguri Young getting it very sideways there and spinning out, just carrying a little bit too much speed going through there. He wisely decides to get out of the way of the cars behind him there, and it takes to the pit exit. Sometimes you do need to vacate the accident spot relatively quickly, and I think the Andretti hairpin is one of those places there. Aguri Young now down to 23rd position there, so very, very unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, up in front, Aldo Ray Balagulan now chasing after Adi Marwan. This is for the final spot in the top 10 there, and they're definitely going to be pushing hard to try and get themselves up into those positions. Aldo Ray and Adi Marwan. Very interesting to see how the BMW, this is perhaps the best opportunity we have to see the BMW and the Porsche side by side there.
Oh, absolutely, that's great to see. Two brilliant German marks, of course, the other one being Mercedes around here. Audi too, but I don't think we have any Audis here on the track. So yeah, I think it's you kind of notice that somehow people just like to drive the BMWs here. So obviously with this series that we are doing, the way we scored, there are in fact two championship classes. So instead of one contiguous championship class that we have as we ride with Bhagvinder Singh now, he is going to fight for the last of the podium positions. So drivers here are split between Pro-M as well as M drivers. So drivers with more than 2,000 or so iRating will be classified as Pro-Am drivers, who will have their own who will have their own standings, and drivers below 2,000, which probably clubman drivers, they will also have their own standing. However, they both share the same point system, so they get whatever points that they get based on how they finish, but then the scoring is set. So that will allow the opportunity for drivers who are more chill, like perhaps you and I, Max,
Yeah.
for us to enjoy the fun aspects of racing without necessarily having to push too hard, while also rewarding the guys who are actually fast on the pointy end of the grid to do their best as well.
Absolutely, it gives an opportunity for the guys further back, further behind the field, like as Weihan pointed out, myself and Weihan, people like that. It gives us something to fight for when we're in the middle of the pack there. Of course, I think it goes without saying, here in Asia, we would fight for 23rd position just as hard as we would fight for 3rd position. But at the same time, it just gives you that extra incentive and a little bit of intrigue through the season. It's always fun to have that going on as well. That was Hugo Tomasino, and this is now Jay Wong chasing after Nevsky Chin, two drivers who've had battles in the past. There again, Jay Wong, another talent that we see. Oh, Nevsky getting very sideways there, coming out of the corner. How did he hold on to that? I could have sworn that he was heading directly for the barrier there, but he's managed to save it. But nevertheless, Jay Wong's managed to take full advantage of that and get himself past. And this goes back to what you were saying, Weihan. If you make a mistake with the BMW, if you get a bit too aggressive on the throttle there, it really does bite you. You do have to be a lot smoother in the BMW to get the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I find that at some points the BMW does feel like a rear-wheel drive touring car. It can take some hits every now and then. It can tank through some sections of the track, but you do have to have a different set of driving expectations when you're handling a car like that, and that is you shouldn't be too sudden with your driving inputs. And of course, that's something that all the BMW drivers should keep in mind as they race here. So we did see Simon Sajic just makes his way through that specific left-hander before now coming down the corkscrew. So these drivers, these fast ones, they make it look so easy as they go through the different sections, but Laguna Seca is quite a challenging track to go fast on. Absolutely,
it gives you kittens driving the MX-5 around here quickly when you're really pushing hard, or even the Skip Barber cars. But really, the GT3 cars and the more powerful open wheel cars really show off what's so difficult about this track, and I think that's why the BMW is so popular around here, because the track is so challenging. It has bumps. It's a very natural track. The tarmac has been laid onto the land. It hasn't been shaped. It hasn't been, Herman Tilket, to use a phrase there. It hasn't been sort of carved out of the land. It's been placed on top of the land. And what you get with tracks like that is that there's a lot of bumps in awkward places. The track might not be always the same width all the way around. The curbs might be a little bit different from one corner to the next. There's a lot of uncertainty there. And the one thing the BMW does give you is certainty. It gives you it's sort of like driving a car with big, strong shoulders, if you will. Whereas the Porsche, it fritters around. And this is classic Porsches. 911s have been doing this since the 60s. The steering wheel moves around in your hand. It dances around. It darts around a little bit. The nose has always been a little bit too light, compared to, say, a quote-unquote perfect sports car. And, it has just a little bit of quirkiness there. These cars tend to do really well at places like Silverstone, like really smooth, fast tracks, But again, if you can make it work, it's a really good tool.
Yeah, because somehow Laguna Seca does embody. When we look at certain tracks where you want to kind of test, you want to test certain aspects of the car, you would think of places like Circuit Zolder, because that track you go left, right, you also go a bit of up and down, and as well as the curves. You think of places like Interlagos, because there are high speed sections as well as low speed sections. Laguna Seca is another one that I think of because there are elevation changes together with, although it's not exactly a technical track, it does demand a lot from the car driver. And Laguna Seca is also one of those places where I think of when you really want to understand fully what your car can do.
absolutely there. You can see there Mika Hakimi is going to come across the line there. He's got one more lap to go. Not enough of a gap between himself and his teammate Iman Danish to try and slow down and make sure the car will come across the finish line there. But that is 30 minutes gone in the race. Lap 23 will be the last lap of the race there. What can you say about Mika Hakimi? He's made it look easy yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, when you have drivers with such good caliber, you know, they make things look so easy, and the best thing that you can do is to observe them from afar and just see how so well they perform. So this is the final lap of racing, and we are now with Jay Wong. Next.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, like, I don't observe Mika Hakimi from afar. Whenever I'm in the same server with him, I save the replay and observe him from as close as possible. I want to know everything. But in any case, yeah, Jay Wong, again, brilliant race from him. Always, you'll see him in his iRacing journey. It's been a fairly short iRacing journey. I know he's done a lot in AC and other sims, but I guess with that level of talent that he had in AC and in those other sims, they're bringing it into iRacing. It's just a matter of adjustment, and I think he's adjusted well to this. But right now, we're going to watch the winner come across the line. Mika Hakimi does it again, taking a 7.2 second gap to his teammate Iman Danish. Blue Steel Racing take 1 and 2. Bhagvinder Singh comes across the line fairly soon there in third position. Muhammad Taki there does manage to stay ahead of Ray Oliver. So that is fantastic stuff, fantastic racing, especially from the battles with Bhagvinder Singh, Muhammad Taki, Ray Oliver. That battle for the last step of the podium there, Bhagvinder Singh would be doing well to feel proud of that battle.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant racing by Mika Hakimi, by Iman Danish as well as the various other drivers. So we now have a look at also the guys in the mid pack who are likewise making their way towards the final corners and towards the end of the race. This is Aldo Ray Balagulan. He will come across the start finish line in 12th position along with some remaining drivers.
Indeed, Arif Hidayat there doing fantastic stuff. He was very entertaining when we had the cameras on him there. It's brilliant to see him come across the line there, but not quite there. I think he gave that position to Hugo Tomasino. I think there must have been something off camera that made him give that position back, but that's fair play, I guess. Mitchell Hui there in 15th, Hai Min Do in 16th, and Ling Won Fai in 17th place. Last car to come across the line there. Again, brilliant racing all the way through the field there. I think this has been one of the cleanest races we've seen around here. We did have that weird thing at that right-hander at lap 1 where we're not too sure what happened there, but regardless, it's been a brilliant race from all the drivers there. Just good, clean. This is almost a masterclass in clean racing and a lot of exciting moments as well.
Absolutely. So all the drivers have completed the race, and it has been a really successful second round of the ASRF GT3 series. So let's go through your results. Your race winner, Mika Hakimi from Blue Steel Racing again. Iman Danish comes home in second position. So these two drivers, they started first and second, and they finished first and second. So did Bhagvinder Singh, as well as Muhammad Taki and Ray Oliver. These drivers, they finished where they started from exactly, and it was great to see. Chris Jensen made his way up to 6th position. He finished in 6th, and Jay Wong in 7th place. University Chin in 8th, Adi Marwan in 9th, and Simon Sanchez finishing where he began from in 10th position. An Jehan in 11th, Aldo Balagula in 12th, Hugo Tomasino in 13th, Arif Hidayat in 14th, Hai Min Do in 15th, Leong Mun Fai in 16th, Mitchell Hui, the guy with always the most interesting Itasha paint scheme, he's in 17th. And Rodrigo Teixeira comes home in 18th.
Mitchell, we love you, but your cars are cursed, man.
They always are, man. Come on. Next time we need to zoom the camera to his car every time things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. In 18th position there we have, in 19th position we have Fred Ting, followed by Aguri Young, Afik Fadlan, Fikri Azka, Rex Wong, Kevin Huang, Mazdi Mardini, Wan Likui, Albertos Surya, and Indra Ferianto. Indra there at the bottom of the field. I think he's the only driver who had basically a DNF. Tough luck but also it sort of showed that how clean this race was. The majority of the field were within 2 laps of each other. There's only 3 cars further away than 2 laps from the leader. And I think it just goes to show the caliber of racing in this championship has been absolutely unbelievable.
Absolutely, and that has been great to see in this second round. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been round 2 of the ASRF Community Events GT3 Series here at Laguna Seca, of course brought to you by Adrenaline Impact, and of course with prize sponsors the South China Sim Racing Association and Sim Racing Association of Singapore. Of course, ASRF currently carries forward the initiatives of this series carries forward the initiatives of what Sim Racers Asia used to do, and it's great that we see that the racing still carries on here at ASRF.
Absolutely, it's been absolutely brilliant to see the community band together and really grow in leaps and bounds there. The Asia Sim Racing Federation helps out with all of its member states in developing sim racing in a holistic manner and really pushing forward a community-driven approach to sim racing. So special thanks to Asia Sim Racing Federation for putting on this community GT3 series. I think it's been absolutely lovely watching all of the races there. We still have an awful lot more racing to go. We've got Snetterton. I'm looking forward to Snetterton. It's one of the few places I've been to in the UK. Barcelona is after that, and of course Oschersleben is going to be challenging, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, of course, it's the first time that Oschersleben is here on our calendar. It's just joined the iRacing service recently. However, the last time I've seen Oschersleben in a sim was with GTR2, like 10 years ago when I used to drive that with keyboard. You know, Oschersleben was one of the tracks that I think I did have quite a good time racing there, although I cannot remember how the layout was.
I remember Oschersleben, the first sim. Well, it's not even a sim, but if you remember the TOCA touring car series or the TOCA Race Driver series, it first came out in TOCA Race Driver 3, and it was actually the first track you drove on in that title. So that's my first memory of Oschersleben. And of course, I actually watched the race live where, from memory, a fairly famous BTCC Scottish BDCC driver, he became a presenter and a commentator for the European Touring Car Championship. And the first race they had in Oschersleben, they had the really tight left-hander at the end of the straight. It was the first year they had the tight chicane, and he made the infamous comment that whoever designed the first chicane needs to be taken into a room and beaten. So
it's that track.
It's that track. So Oschersleben, infamous for being, I think, almost overly technical. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers tackle it because it's new to the service as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of action there. I think a lot of drivers are going to be practicing there as well. But Snetterton, again, another track that's kind of slept on, but you know, bomb hole and that entire third final sector of the track is absolutely incredible. It's like if the final sector at Paul Ricard circuit actually had some character.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, we do have quite an interesting. Well, let's just say that the outcome of the racing might be a little bit different with the remaining 4 tracks here, because you know it's not exactly known as places where drivers might favor the tracks. But of course, with Kota, it's one that will burn through your tires, and the other 3 tracks, you know, is hopefully technical, and sometimes overtaking might be a bit challenging. So we will definitely see as the season progresses.
Indeed, we will. But the next round is going to be on the 14th of October here at Snetterton Circuit, home of the Wiltshire 24-hour race and one of the founding tracks of the British Saloon Car Championship, which later became the British Touring Car Championship. It is one of the oldest tracks in the UK and remarkably similar to how it was when it was first built. Snetterton, of course, now owned by the former Formula 1 racing driver Jonathan Palmer. No relation.
Ah, Palmer, I see.
So, in any case, there's a special thanks to the Asian Sim Racing Federation for running this championship, and special thanks to our event sponsors, the Macau China Sim Racing Association and the Sim Racing Association of Singapore. Special thanks to Chen Wei Han for opening up the broadcast while I was trying to figure out what was wrong with the computer. It's always a pleasure working with you on stream.
Likewise, Max. It's always fun with you around, and I think it's great that we're back again. We've come back again live, after 1 month away. And of course, many thanks to Cairo Alang for doing the cameras behind the scenes and making this broadcast possible along with you, man.
Absolutely. Special thanks goes out to Cairo Alang, our director. Special thanks to Chen Wei Han for joining us, and special thanks to all of you guys at home, without whom we would not be able to make this possible. So give yourselves a round of applause. That's going to be it from myself, Max Palmer, from Chen Wei Han, from our director Cairo Alang, and from all of the drivers. We bid you all a very good night. Ta-ra.